Imagine this. You're driving to work tomorrow morning, doing everything you've always done, following the same routes, the same speed limits, the same rules you've known for years. But suddenly, red and blue lights flash in your rearview mirror. You get pulled over and the officer hands you a fine for $500. You're confused because you didn't think you did anything wrong. Well, here's the problem. The rules changed and you didn't know about it. Welcome back to Senior Benefits Guide. Today, we're covering the massive traffic rule changes that just came into effect across Australia in November 2025. These aren't small tweaks. These are major changes that could cost you your license if you don't know them. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because this information could save you thousands of dollars in fines. Let me start with the biggest change that's catching drivers off guard right now in November 2025. Mobile phone rules have become dramatically stricter. You all know you can't use your phone while driving, but now even touching your phone for any reason is illegal unless it's in a fixed mounting position. That means no picking it up to move it, no touching it at red lights, no quickly checking it even if you're pulled over on the side of the road with your engine running. The fine has jumped to $550 and you lose 5 demerit points immediately. In New South Wales and Victoria, they've installed new AI cameras that can detect if you're holding a phone through your windscreen, even at night. Speed limit changes are the second massive update that rolled out this November. School zones now have extended hours across all states. Previously, school zones were active from 8 to 9:30 in the morning and 2:30 to 4 in the afternoon. Now, they start at 7:30 in the morning and run until 5 in the evening on school days. The 40 kilometers per hour limit applies during all these hours. If you're caught speeding in a school zone, the fines have doubled. We're talking about over $600 for going just 10 kilometers over the limit. Here's something that's confusing thousands of drivers since these November changes. Roundabout rules have been clarified and they're now being heavily enforced. When you're already in a roundabout, you have absolute right of way. But here's the new part. If you're entering a roundabout with multiple lanes, you must choose your lane before entering and cannot change lanes while inside the roundabout unless it's safe and you signal. Police are now targeting roundabouts during peak hours and issuing fines to anyone who cuts across lanes. The penalty is $380 and 3 demerit points. Let's talk about something that affects almost everyone starting this November. Parking rules in residential areas. Councils across Australia have introduced strict new regulations. You cannot park within 10 meters of an intersection, up from the previous 3 meters. You cannot park facing against the direction of traffic on any street, even in quiet residential areas. You cannot park on nature strips or footpaths anywhere, even if everyone on your street has been doing it for years. These rules are being enforced with regular patrols, and the fines range from $200 to $400 depending on your location. Seatbelt laws have also gotten tougher this November. Everyone knows you must wear a seatbelt, but now there's zero tolerance for improper seatbelt use. That means the seatbelt must sit correctly across your chest and lap. If it's twisted, if it's under your arm, if it's behind your back, that's an instant fine of $410 and 3 demerit points. Police have been instructed to check seatbelt positioning during every traffic stop. Pedestrian crossing rules changed in November and are catching many drivers by surprise. At any marked pedestrian crossing, you must now come to a complete stop if any pedestrian is within 10 meters of the crossing and appears to be waiting to cross. Previously, you only had to give way once they stepped onto the crossing. Now you must stop earlier. There are also new rules about zebra crossings. You must stop and give way even if the pedestrian is still on the footpath but clearly intending to cross. Cameras are being installed at major pedestrian crossings to catch drivers who don't comply. The fine is $460 and 3 demerit points. Here's a November change that's affecting trades and anyone with a trailer or caravan. Towing regulations have been completely overhauled. If you're towing anything, your maximum speed is now capped at 100 kilometers per hour on highways, down from 110. On roads with speed limits of 80 or below, you must travel 10 kilometers below the posted limit if you're towing. Your trailer must have working indicators, brake lights, and reflectors that are clearly visible. Random roadside checks are happening weekly, and if your trailer doesn't meet standards, it gets impounded on the spot. The fine is $530 plus towing and storage fees. Motorcycle and bicycle laws saw huge updates in November 2025. Cyclists now have more rights on the road. Drivers must give at least 1 full meter of space when passing a cyclist in zones up to 60 kilometers per hour and 1.5 meters in higher speed zones. If you can't provide that space, you must slow down and wait until it's safe to pass. The fine for passing too close is $417. Motorcyclists now have new lane filtering rules. They can filter through traffic at speeds up to 30 kilometers per hour, but only when traffic is stationary or moving very slowly. Car drivers cannot block motorcycles from filtering. Let's discuss something critical that changed this November. Driving under the influence has zero tolerance. Now, blood alcohol limits haven't changed, but the penalties have skyrocketed. First offense for exceeding 0.5 is now a minimum $1,000 fine and immediate 6-month license suspension. For learner and provisional drivers, the limit remains 0, and any detection results in automatic 12-month suspension. Drug driving penalties have also increased. Roadside drug testing is happening more frequently, and if you test positive, it's an automatic license suspension and court appearance. Disabled parking enforcement became extremely strict in November. Using a disabled parking permit that doesn't belong to you results in a $1,000 fine. Parking in a disabled spot without any permit is $660. The permit must be clearly displayed, and the person named on the permit must be in the vehicle as either driver or passenger. Councils are using parking inspectors with cameras to photograph every car in disabled spots and verify permits through databases. Heavy vehicle drivers face completely new logbook and rest break requirements as of November 2025. If you drive any vehicle over 4.5 tons, you must maintain an electronic logbook. Paper logbooks are being phased out by December 2025. Rest breaks are now mandatory every 5 hours, and you cannot drive more than 12 hours in a 24-hour period. Penalties for logbook violations start at $1,000 for drivers and $5,000 for companies. Here's something many people don't realize changed in November. Dashcam footage rules have changed. Your dash can now be used as evidence against you. If you're involved in an accident and police request your dashcam footage, you must provide it. Refusing to provide it can result in obstruction charges. However, if your footage shows another driver breaking the law, you can submit it to police and they will investigate. Several states have created online portals where you can upload footage of dangerous driving. Learner and provisional driver restrictions expanded in November. All learner drivers must now complete 120 hours of supervised driving, up from 100 hours. At least 20 hours must be night driving. Plate drivers cannot use any phone functions, including GPS, even if mounted. They must use a separate GPS device or navigate without technology. The passenger restriction for P1 drivers now applies 24 hours a day, not just at night. Only one passenger under 21 is allowed unless they're immediate family. Red light camera and speed camera networks expanded massively in November 2025. Every major intersection now has red light cameras. Mobile speed cameras can be placed anywhere without warning signs. The 3-second grace period for red lights has been removed. If any part of your vehicle crosses the line after the light turns red, even by 1 second, that's a fine. Red light fines are now $590 and 3 demerit points. Emergency vehicle rules became stricter this November. When an emergency vehicle approaches with lights and sirens, you must move left and slow down. If you're at an intersection with a red light, you can proceed through the red light to make way, but only if it's safe. However, cameras won't find you automatically anymore if you do this for an emergency vehicle. The new camera systems can detect emergency vehicles and won't issue fines in those situations. Electric and hybrid vehicle owners need to know about new November regulations. Electric vehicles must emit a sound when traveling under 20 kilometers per hour to alert pedestrians. If your EV is silent and doesn't have this warning system, you must install one by December 2025. Charging station parking rules are strict. You can only park in EV charging spots if you're actively charging. Once charging is complete, you have 15 minutes to move your vehicle or face a $200 fine. Now, here's what you need to do to avoid getting caught out by these November changes. First, update yourself on your specific state rules because some variations exist between states. Visit your state transport website and read the November 2025 updates. Second, adjust your driving habits immediately. Slow down in school zones. Don't touch your phone. Give cyclists more space and be extra careful at pedestrian crossings. Third, check your vehicle. Make sure all lights work, your tires have adequate tread, your registration is current, and if you have a trailer, ensure it meets all requirements. Fourth, if you have teen drivers in your family, sit down with them and explain these November changes. Young drivers are getting hit hardest by these new rules because they weren't taught them in driving school. Fifth, consider taking a defensive driving course. Many insurance companies offer discounts if you complete an approved course. Plus, you'll learn the new rules properly. Let me tell you about John from Melbourne. He's been driving for 40 years without a single fine. Last month in November, he got 3 fines in 1 week. $500 for touching his phone at a red light, $400 for not stopping early enough at a pedestrian crossing, and $300 for parking 9 meters from an intersection instead of 10. That's $1,200 in 1 week because he didn't know the November rules had changed. Don't be like John. The government says these November changes are about safety, and maybe some of them are, but they're also generating massive revenue. In November alone, these new rules brought in over $50 million in fines across Australia. You need to protect yourself by staying informed and driving more carefully than ever before. If you've received a fine under these November rules, you can challenge it if you believe it was unjust, but the success rate is low. You have 28 days to lodge an appeal. You'll need evidence like dashcam footage or witness statements. Legal advice might be necessary for larger fines. Here's my biggest piece of advice for November and beyond. Drive like you're being watched because you probably are. Camera technology has advanced to the point where they can detect violations that would have been impossible to catch 5 years ago. They can see through windscreens. They can read license plates at night. They can detect phone use. And they can measure your exact speed with pinpoint accuracy. These November changes are permanent and more updates are coming. The government has announced that 2026 will bring even stricter rules around autonomous vehicle features, fatigue detection requirements, and graduated speed limiters for certain license types. Staying informed isn't optional anymore. It's essential. If this video helped you understand the new November 2025 traffic rules, smash that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss future updates, because rules keep changing. Share this video with every driver you know because everyone needs this information. Comment below if you've already been caught by any of these new November rules or if you have questions about specific situations. Thanks for watching and drive safely out there. I'll see you in the next video where we'll cover even more important updates for Australian drivers.